you know, scripting. Well,
You're
okay.
fine, Tammy. Continue.
Scripting. I mean, you can follow some guidelines for sure, but feel it out as well, and be present in the moment. I find that a lot of people are not present, and they're just focused on what they want to say, so they're missing the whole connection process when they're going through this. So the most important thing is to be yourself when you're connecting with people, and it's okay not to know the answer. I'd rather say I don't know than to make something up. And I also say, when I don't know, I also say things like, um, you know what? Nobody's ever asked me that question before. And I'm definitely going to get you the answer. I just want to let you know that I will get to the right person, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible with the answer. And often that has to do with product details and stuff like that for me personally. And I'll call on Jazz, or I'll call on somebody else to help me out. But a lot of people are afraid to do this one particular step, which is the follow up. And the follow up is answering questions. So it's always, always good that you do a third party validation, especially when you're new, especially. And I still do it, because that the third party is just going to bring validation with me. And they're also going to see that you're together as a team.
Mhm.
And if they decide to do this, they know that somebody's got their back, right? Because when you're learning and you want to put out money, and when you don't know what you're doing or what you're talking about, when you just put out money, people need to know that they're part of something and they're not alone. And I find that works so well. So leverage that as much as you can, but we will go back and forth and do some dialogue. Like Chris said, feel, felt, found is a really good one. It's a connection, because what they're saying, they need to feel like what they're saying is not a bad thing. It's not a stupid question. People need to feel like there's a connection there. And sometimes when they throw something out at me, I'll say, tell me more about that. When they say, for example, I don't have much time to do this business, I said, well, tell me more about that. So you can use that one as well. So we'll kind of play with this, and you can see in conversation with Jazz and Paul and Chris and I and whoever else wants to hop in there, and just see how the conversation flows.
Okay, so let's get some examples here. Emmanuel, are you ready if I pick on you the first?
Yep, I
Perfect.
am.
Perfect. Okay, so Emmanuel is going to be handling the objection on not having enough money to get products. Okay, so somebody comes to you and they say, I don't have enough money to buy products. So I pass it over to you. So you go ahead and take it over.
Okay. Max morning, everyone.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Max morning, Emmanuel.
Yeah. Is my audio clear?
Loud and clear.
Perfect.
Oh, great, good. Now, here in our peculiar society, how we have handled such questions about I do not have money to get the product or to even get started. Firstly, having had some contact with the individual, you can actually see that it's just a question of psychology, not having the belief that that very business that you've just presented is something that is going to give him a better return. And when we notice that, what we say is that if I were to show you how you could get back your money and make some extras on it, would you show some commitment? And when the person said, okay, you go ahead and show me, what we do in most instances is we take out a plain sheet and begin to do the, can I call it the universal zero, you here, and draw 5 other people and the circle, and showed him that, yeah, this is you up this way, and you've got the capacity to at least get yourself 8 bottles of this product, going at the current price of 9,000 Nigerian money. Sorry, I can't calculate in US now. That you can afford this. He said, yes. Okay, if you can afford it, can you give me 8 or 10 names of people in your own category and in your class? If you can afford it, then your friends can. And when we show him the diagrams of these 5 individuals also picking up the product, he does this calculation and see that he's even getting 72,000 Naira out of the 56. So he had already made a profit. And these people will come back definitely seeing the value they get from the product. In that case, he's building a team. In most instances, the individual sign up because the things that stops them is the idea that, boy, I'm not sure this thing is going to work in our country. Then the second approach we do to people who come again to tell us that I do not have money to get a product, we're telling, look, are you dead serious about what you're saying? He said, yes, but you want to change your circumstances. Then you go and sell off something of value that you have in your home. And I can assure you in 2 to 3 months' time, if you will do what we say, you can get back your money to replace it. If they're actually serious, they will either borrow or go and sell maybe their television, or some of them even have two smartphones. What are you doing with 2 smartphones and you're not earning with it? The part with one and go back to get it. Then the third approach is like here in Nigeria, we do register without you coming in with any package. And we tell them using Antambo's written script of getting started right. If you do not have the money, we show them that you take this script, master it, go and look for at least 8 persons in the region of age 45 to 50 and above, who you think can afford this very product. Then go to them, use the script one for one that I have just recently attended a US company health seminar. They've got a product that have helped people in your category and with your health condition. If you would like to know more, I'm going to send you a video and some materials to take a look. And if they said yes, you send them the first health and science product, which Antambo did for us, and a list of testimonies, and also the 2 disease sheets, the short and the long. So in essence, what we do here is that the individual goes to look for persons to use the product. And by the time he or she gets 8 persons to test this product, he has made enough money to buy the product, get a registration, and also have extra in their pocket. This is what we do here in Nigeria.
This is perfect. And I can testify to that. And this is correct. And as a matter of fact, the summary is the person is doubtful because of the money aspect to be able to, that he can afford. And, considering this business, and you're showing him that the way to be able not only just to get the money back, but right away to show profit with very minimal work. And that's how you kind of help them build a confidence that they can afford it. And then you follow up with the procedures on the getting started in Nigeria, which I know Anne has created a very simple approach that models very well within the Nigerian market. So that's great feedback, Emmanuel. Thank you for sharing.
If I can just add something here in Canada or North America, I've dealt with many people who don't have the finances to get started. And I ask them if they know anybody, because they've already watched the video and they see value and they want to do the business, but they just don't have the resources. And I say, well, do you have $25? And they say, well, yeah, I could do that. And I said, do you know anybody that could benefit from these products? And this one particular person went out and had 2 people that would consume them. They didn't make them a customer. They made them, they just took their orders and put it on their account. So it qualified them for their 100 points every month. Then we got to work. And today this person is making residual income, and she's sharing products within her whole family, and doing really well. So, you know, you have to find a starting point where they can relate, and then you can help them build up from there. And that's what
correct.
I've done with people. And I've even put an assignment out to them to put some people together, and let's do a Zoom chat, and let's talk. You know, now I'm calling them launch parties, since what we learned from some of the Eric Worre stuff. And if they bring people to a session, they're putting some efforts. That means they want to do it. So give them something to do, so you're not wasting your time too with somebody who absolutely is not going to do it. You know, you want to make sure you value your time by giving them that assignment.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. This is great. And by the way, I'm going to be calling on Paul and Jasmine next, and I would love to, if you raised your hand by using the reaction icon. No, which one would that be? There's one there that's to raise your hand. I think there's a button there. Let me just see where it is. Chat, make, put, I don't know where it is. If you guys know where, here we go. Someone just did it. Perfect. Bill did it. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. You can put your mouse over your name, and you can actually go ahead and raise your hand. Perfect. So if you raise your hand, in this case, we will just ask you to go and share an example of an objections that you would like to share. Okay. So at this point, Paul, I'm going to turn this over to you. And I know that in your case, it's someone that has a hard time with the idea of getting involved with network marketing. So how would you handle that, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the philosophies that I think everybody should be using with any kind of objection is not to disagree or argue with those objections, is to use a little bit of empathy. So it's important to subtly educate people as you're hearing their objection and as you're coming through with your own solution to that. Relating to their objection and asking them to expand on their objection is the first step. So if somebody says, well, you know what, I don't like network marketing for whatever reason. As I say, the first thing I'm going to be using is empathy on that. So, you know, if the guy's name is John, have you had any experience in network marketing before? And if the answer is yes, I ask them to relate their experience, tell me their story, and listen to their words as they're talking. So you're listening to what this person is saying about their experience, or what experience they've heard other people having. Sometimes they're adopting an experience. They haven't actually had the experience, but they're adopting it. And usually say, you know, when they are explaining it, I'm listening to their words, and at the end I usually say, wow, I completely understand where you're coming from. This is the empathy. And I use, as we just talked about, the feel, felt, and found. I've used that in 95% of the objections that I get. John, I know how you feel. I actually felt the same way when I first started. However, in this company, I found that the issue doesn't exist, the issue they brought up. And that issue could be something like, well, it may be something like, the people at the top only make the money. That's why I don't like network marketing. So there's another story to the reason why he doesn't like network marketing. You say, well, okay, the people who make the money are the people at the top. That's what they say. And I say, well, I can relate to that. And then I explain why that doesn't exist in this company, Max International, because we have many, many people that bring people in as their associates, and they're making more money than they are making, and even making more money than their sponsors making. So it doesn't matter when you join this company. It doesn't matter what level you, sorry, it doesn't matter what year you come in, it doesn't matter who brings you in, it's based on your activity. So I go into that. And I really explain why it doesn't happen. Okay, so sincerity, empathy, education through stories, and as you mentioned, Chris, third party and examples that they have will go a long way to diffuse not just the objection, but most objections, not just this objection, but most objections. And you know what? I realize that as you gain experience in this business of inviting them to see videos, inviting them to listen to presentations as you're talking to them about the company, you get to the point where you can actually diffuse the objection before the objection is raised. So that if you explain things well enough, I hardly get any objections. I hardly get any objections at all now. I had a lot at the beginning, but now I hardly get any. I do get them, but not as much as I did when I first started. And that's because I tend to go through the explanation on many things at the beginning, and a lot of their objections fall by the wayside. They don't have to bring it up anymore. So I find that very interesting. So I hope that helps everybody. Feel, felt, found is used in probably 99% of the cases, and empathy and sincerity are definitely required to get them through that objection. So I hope that helps.
Totally, Paul. In fact, it was great insights. And, you know, the summary of this is, you know, at the end of the day, is you're building a relationship with the person and you're having an exchange as you're handling the objections. It's also a great opportunity to, as I stated, to build on that relationship. And that's why I love handling objections, because I know what we have to offer is wonderful. And most people are really uninformed or misinformed on what this opportunity is based on stigma and typecast of others that really also don't fully understand it. And that's what I found as we were doing the prospecting act activities, and is I was more in an education process. But before you educate, you need to listen. You need to listen. That's why we have 2 ears, 1 mouth. You need to listen more than you speak. And then when you speak, then you're addressing some of the concerns and some of the points that they brought into the table. So that's with empathy and absolutely correct, Paul. I agree with that 100%. Tammy, is there anything else you want to add to that?
When Paul mentioned that he hardly gets any objections anymore, I mean, Paul's been doing this for a long time now, and he's great at connecting with people. But it's true, Paul, you know, as you really understand how to, you know, go back and forth and connect with people, that relationship's being built and people trust, you know, they get to that point where they trust and they have no objections and they feel good with you. So they want to move forward. And if they follow through with their watching the videos and they do their due diligence, then that also helps a lot in cutting those objections. That's what I find as well. But yeah, you're right, Paul. And if all of you are doing this on a regular basis, you'll be saying the same thing.
Yeah. So don't fear the prospecting aspect. It's really an opportunity to make another friend, and don't take things personally. Just remember that. And I want to remind any one of you, if you do want to share, I don't want to pick at you, but if you don't, I will pick on you, because I know what some of you are capable of, and you just probably want to stay quiet in the background, and I will pull you out. But again, I know that some of you are looking for it. All we want is for you to share some of your point of views on objections that you might have been handling in the past, recently, or whatever. Okay, so I'm looking forward to see these hands up. Okay, Jas, I'm going to turn over to you. I did not receive your text today in reference to the objections. So I'm going to leave
I said, okay. So anyway, I did send it. So here's what I'm going to do is a little bit different. Instead of me talking about it, we're actually going to role play. So either Chris, you or Tammy, whoever wants to, I'm going to ask your objection to be, what I'd like your objection to be is that you have no knowledge on how to start a business and you know nothing about network marketing. Okay, so which one of you wants to role play? This is going to be your objection, and we're going to just do a real life scenario, like go back to before you started in Max and just go back to that point in your life. And I'm going to talk to you from that perspective. So who wants to do it? Chris or Tammy? Who wants to be the new prospect?
Okay, I could be the new prospect. So
Okay.
what did you want me to cover? I'm sorry, I turned my head. I was reading your message there.
Okay, so basically I want you, your objection is going to be, or your hesitation is that you've never owned your own business and you know nothing
Okay,
about network marketing.
got it. Okay, so right now, you're talking to me? Am I responding? Give me a cue.
Yes, so you've seen the presentation.
Yes.
You've watched a couple of videos first, you've seen the presentation, and now we're doing the follow-up call.
Okay, so
Okay,
you're
so-
calling me? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call you. So, okay, ding, ding.
Hi.
Hi, Chris, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you, Jess.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, you recognize my voice. Anyway, yeah, it's Jasmine. I just wanted to follow up and give you a call like I promised I would. And I know
Mhm.
you had a chance to watch the presentation the other day.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to ask you, where are you at from 1 to 10 with everything that you've seen? You ready to jump in? Just give me a little bit of feedback. Do you need some more info? Let me know where you're at.
Sure, sure. You know, Jess, I mean, the reason why I listen to this information is because, I mean, I know you and I know you're serious. I know you have an entrepreneur heart. I just don't know if I feel that way. I've always been a person that works in a job. I've never been really an entrepreneur. I don't feel I have the skills to be able to own my own business. So it's not something I'm that comfortable doing.
Fair enough. I hear you. I totally hear you. I mean, I was the same way. I
Right.
had never started my own business. As you know, I'm in dentistry and I've always worked for someone else. So before I address that about, you know, how you could go about starting your own business and how this works with Max, tell me a little bit, remind me again, why was it that you actually watched this video? What's going on in your life right now that you were even curious enough to potentially look at? Is there another way for you to have some of your dreams come true? Is there something that is unfulfilling in your life? Share with me, if you ever did want to make some changes in your life, why would you want to make those changes?
Well, you know, it's the money aspect. As you know, we've been having a tough 2020 and 2021 is a reflection. And, you know, my salary went down by half and my expenses have increased really. Food has increased, gas has increased, and we just don't have enough. And I need more money. That's really the reason why I looked at it.
Wow. You know what? You just reminded me of so many things that impacted so many people in 2020 that, yeah, I mean, I knew that some people had lost their jobs or were making less income, but I didn't think about all the other things that you just said about money and gas and that. So basically, it sounds like if you stay on the same path where you're at, your future doesn't look as bright as maybe you envisioned it to be 5 or 10 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay. All right. So the part about not owning your own business and never having any experience with that, like I said, I totally get that because I hadn't had no experience before I started with Max. And let me ask you, is it about not knowing how to have and run your own business? Is it about not having enough money to start your business? Can you tell me a little bit more about what's there for you?
Well, Jess, I'll open up. You know, the reality is I know that this is some kind of a direct sell. I believe I probably have to talk to my friends and family, and you know, I'm not that great with rejection. Honestly, I tend to take things a little bit personal, and that's where I feel I may have a hard time. So it's not so much of the business itself, is I don't know if I'm able to handle it.
Okay. Okay. So you're not comfortable just.
Am I making this too hard, or is that okay?
No, go. This is good. This is what
I'm
everybody
used to
needs
deal with
hear.
objections, so I'm picking
No,
what I.
this is the real life stuff. No, this is awesome. This is awesome. Okay, so you think that your family will shun you away, or they'll never invite you over for Thanksgiving dinners anymore because you're always going to talk about business, or they're not going to like you as much. Is that kind of what is there for you?
Well, I mean, obviously there's common sense to this whole thing, but yeah, I guess that's one of the fears, just the level of the discomfort of dealing
Okay.
with, you know, friends and
Okay.
families and so forth.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So but I think that the best way to start this business is with your circle of friends and family that you know. But if that's out for you and that doesn't feel comfortable for you and it doesn't feel like the way that you want to start, let me ask you, do you have any experience with social media? Do you have a Facebook account? Do you do anything online with connecting with people that way?
I mean, I have all of the above. I wouldn't say I'm experienced, but I certainly know how to handle some of these social media tools.
Okay. Okay. So I guess it goes back to, if you really want to do something to change your future, and you know that you're basically at a dead end if you continue with where you are, and if there was a support system in place, and if there was training available, would you be open to learning how to do this? Would you be willing to, whether it's doing it on social media, whether it's maybe passing it by a few friends or family, or not at all? Are you open to taking a look at how you could build this business?
Well, you know what you got me is training. If someone
Oh.
could show me how to go about doing this, and I can actually see and learn from past experiences, yeah, it's something that I think I could consider.
Cool. Okay. And you know what? That's so important, because think about this. How many people have started their own business and it's like, they don't have enough knowledge. They might have some experience, but they're kind of learning as they go. I think you probably know that most businesses, you know, whether it's a jewelry store or a restaurant or whatever, they're probably not making anything in return for at least the first 2 years. I guess you probably know that from other people, right?
Agreed.
Okay. What if with this business, there was enough training available and we could teach you how you could start making money within your first month? Does that interest you?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay. So we've got a lot of training available. We've got Monday nights. There is a webinar every Monday night that there's a training that goes on every single week, and it's for an hour. And that training is kind of like, you know, what are all the daily, weekly activities? What are the encounters that we go through when we meet people? Would you be interested in participating in that training? And guess what? It's free. There's
Sure.
a training that's free. Okay,
Sure,
so that's available
absolutely.
Monday nights. Okay, so that's the nuts and bolts of how to build your business. We've got a training and we've got a website. There's a website called Active Team. And if you want, we can, at the end of this call, go right on. We'll take you online and I'll have you sign up and register to Active Team. You will get all kinds of emails. There's training on there. There's something called a success cycle. There's a whole series of videos that basically will teach you and walk you through, just like when you go to university and you're learning whatever it is that you're learning at school. There is a program here that you could learn everything you need to know on how to build this business. Would you participate in that if that was available?
Sure.
Okay. If you have any women that are interested in this business, we have an incredible Facebook group that every single day we have a message for women, and 74% of the people in network marketing are women. So I would totally encourage you to share this with women, because they are blowing this out of the water. So there's a daily motivational message and there's all kinds of training available with that. So that's something to plug into. If you wanted to there's like weekly training calls that we have. As I said, there are monthly training calls. There's all kinds of things in place. So do you want to take a look at some of this training before you even start, just to see what's available out there and see if it resonates with you?
Hey, I'm ready to sign up.
There we go. Awesome. Awesome.
So just,
that's it. Okay. So here we go. Let's go to www.vex.com.
Yeah. So, and you know what? I wanted to share this. And the fact is, I appreciate that you've given all these options, but is it okay if I give you an observation?
Go for it. Yeah.
When the iron is hot, is the time to strike. So when you asked me the first time if I was interested, I was pretty much ready.
When you said, give me the training stuff, right?
Well, maybe, I don't, there's been a few, I think you went through 3 or 4 or 5, 3 segments or 4, and you kept adding other options. My recommendation is, once you get the first yes, and a yes towards, a genuine interest that you probably felt, That's why you were giving. You want to right away suggest, hey, are you ready to get started? And
Gotcha.
I think that a lot of folks, as they build their business, because I know there might be some viewers that will watch this in a month, maybe right now, and it's something that is very common where the cell is hot, ready to go, and they continue educating, and you lose the cell. And eventually what happens is you hit the climax, no, sorry, you hit the reach, the top,
Yep.
and then you back down, right? So that's just an observation. So when you're doing that, I would suggest that you say, well, according to, are you ready to make the move? Are you ready to get started? Are you ready to embark this new journey? And
Okay, so
and wait for my feedback. And if you feel that I'm backpedaling again, then you can give me more options. You know what I mean?
gotcha. So when you said training bingo,
Yeah.
then right at that point, it's like, okay, so now that you know that training's available, are you ready to get started?
Well, let me give you an example.
Yeah,
See, that's my personality. And there's people like me. There's a guy that was selling me a $20,000 training to learn how to do YouTube ad like a professional. The moment I saw what I needed, I got in. I spent a 20 grand. That's me recently. So there are people like that.
Yeah.
Now, there are also some people that you're going to give them the world and it's just not enough. And that's fine too. But if you come across someone that is hot and ready to move, you don't want to overtalk him. That's just the observation, because I know my personality, and you had me at, when you started talking about the training and everything else. Okay, good. I got what I need. If so it's just an observation for the listeners, and also to help maybe close, or I don't like to use close, but to sign up more people in the process of building your business.
Okay, so Chris, let's just quickly do this. I'm now going to be the prospect. You're going to be the associate, and I'm going to pop at the training. Okay. And then you say what you wanted to say, but in action, so that people actually hear it. Okay. So you're telling me that with this business, if I get started, you guys have training available that I can get some guidance on how to do this?
Absolutely. We've been doing this for decades, as a matter of fact, and you will learn as you earn.
Oh my God, that's totally what I wanted to hear.
If you're ready to get started, let's go ahead. What we'll do is we'll sign in. Let's jump in on the max.com website, blah, 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 blah. And then from there, I would walk you through the process, and enrolling, we would start selecting the packages, and I go for the sale right away.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. Thanks.
That was awesome, Jess.
I just want to recognize, Jasmine, you could see that she easily builds rapport with people. She's got really good energy. Were you feeling all this? Because I was sitting up myself, and because she's and this is the type of energy you have to have. She's passionate about what she does, and it is evident that she's passionate. And if I ever want to do a business, I want to be in business with somebody who's passionate and loves what they do. If you're laid back and, you're going to lose people who love that type of energy. So you got to kind of get a feel for it. And most likely, most people want to partner with people who know where they're going. Would you agree?
100%. 100%.
Thanks for that input and feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Marie Paul wants to do it, I think.
Okay, Marie Paul. So what objections would you like to handle?
I have a couple, actually. Recently, I've had a couple of rejection, but it's like being dumped online.
Okay.
The first one ended positively, and we're going to keep in touch because he's not ready now. But the second one, he actually blasted me, and how dare you to try to sell me something like this, and and it was all about the pyramid scheme idea, and they don't talk to you when they say things like that. They don't talk to you face to face. They're gonna write things and try to get away with it. So you want to try to educate them, and obviously they've been talking between this email and the last time we chatted or talked. He talked to somebody, and somebody really was negative about network marketing and said, don't touch that. Or somebody wrote the email for him. And so our role is to educate people, and we can't be afraid to take it away from them. Like, obviously it's not for him or her, okay? So you just be polite and just, you know, like, our role is to give them information, to educate them about what the opportunity is, that what the business is and the product is. And if it's not for them, it's not for them. But you will come across people, they'll say mean things to you, you know, and not necessarily family or maybe family, but strangers. They don't know you and they don't care. So don't take it personally as if you were dumped by a date or, you know, a boyfriend or something. So the other one, the one that ended nicely, he was interested. However, he was looking for a job more than he was looking for a business. And, you know, we're going to keep in touch, and eventually, you know, down the road, things might change. But by being persistent in keeping in touch, I would say, and well, you know, I can't speak tonight,
Words are
building a
coming.
relationship,
Right.
you know, together, but not being afraid to take the opportunity away from them. Like, maybe it's not the right time for you, or maybe you're not the right candidate. Also, it brings back a point to better qualify the people, know your audience, you know, better qualify the person before.
Yeah. So one of the things, Myra Paul, that I would suggest also as you're sharing this is to choose. I mean, I know I choose my word very carefully, where maybe 10 years ago, I would say something, well, maybe this doesn't fit you. I would have a different approach, because I never want someone to feel lesser than because they're not they're not into it, or they're not interested, even if they're rude. And it happens. And remember, when they're rude, it's not towards you, it's themselves, and there's something going on. You just don't know what it is. And unfortunately, you're the recipient of that. And it happens. It does happen. But, you know, one of the things that I say when someone comes across and I realize they don't fit the profile, I would say, listen, I apologize. I thought maybe there would be something for you, but I completely understand that this moment, this is not right. And that's totally cool. I hope that we can remain friends. We can, you know, maintain a relationship. And would you be okay for me to keep you in the loop on how things are going, you know, and regardless of how they do it. And honestly, I've never had a rude person for a long time. So I think that could be something to do with the wording that you may choose to use that may get someone feel uncomfortable. Not that you're meant to do that. It was not intentional, but it could have been something that maybe in the 80s we learned to do. And today it's a different thing.
It was fine until I sent him some information. And when he got back, that's when he wrote me that email or that message.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that's fine. You decline. It says, well, I tend to take the apology side. Apologize for disturbing you. I really thought there was an interest there, but listen, I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to at least respond. And I wish you all the best in your future ventures, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, always leave it in a friendship, you know. And another thing, I think, Marie Paul, you were messaging. Is that how you?
Yeah. Well, we didn't get like, I wanted to follow up. I was setting a time to follow up on a Zoom chat.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to do that, obviously.
Yeah, and I've been stuck doing stuff like that too, because like everybody else, social media is a fairly new platform for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that the sooner I can get them off the platform to get on Zoom, even if it's just as I've had just Zoom coffee chats.
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to get with him, to get more information to him verbally, not you know, chatting back and forth, because things get lost.
Yeah, because it's so hard to build a relationship if there's no voice connection and they can see you, you can see them, you feel the body language, there's no emotion in a text, there's no emotion on a messenger, whatever it is, there's just no emotion. So it's really, really difficult to make that connection, because I've never had any success just going back and forth.
Yeah, me neither. Me
Yeah.
neither. If I'm not able to get into a verbal conversation in some way, I find it I'm not, and most of you here, my greatest skill is not writing. It's communicating, connecting with people. And if I'm not able to do that, then for me, it's something that I won't pursue. But everybody's different, right? So let's go back to the gallery here, and anybody would like to share and maybe share some of their examples of handling objection. So I'm watching every one of you. I'm watching your smiles. Is there anybody that would like to share?
Scott. All right.
Scott. Okay, perfect. Sorry, you're in my corner here. I couldn't. Okay, go ahead, Scott.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hear me fine?
Yeah.
Hi, Scott.
Okay, so I guess what I tend to do more often than not now is when there's some objection of some sort, I'm not going to point to a specific objection. It's very important to acknowledge the way they feel about it. And when you acknowledge them, it kind of, sometimes you can see them kind of sit back in their seat because they weren't expecting that response from you in the first place. But most of the time they get in a place where they appreciate just that you're listening to them and that you were appreciating what they were saying and acknowledging the objection that they have about it. And then that just acknowledging them can allow you to open up and get into that conversation and connect at a different level, like Tammy and Chris were saying, and help you move forward in a more comfortable conversation, which kind of opens it up for moving to a better place, and being able to, like Mary Paul said, educate and create more understanding around what you do and what's available for them if they choose to do something together with you, right? So acknowledgement, and then the feel, felt, found can play in there as well. But acknowledgement is a big thing, and also gratitude goes a long way with like Chris brought up. Be grateful that they're even having a conversation with you, because they could have hung up the phone or not agreed to meet with you in the first place. So always approach it with being grateful, and show appreciation to them for sharing their time with you.
Yeah, I agree. And even today with social media, they'll ghost you, right?
Yeah.
Ghosting means, for those of you that may not understand the term, is they unfriend you or they block you, and you just can't see them anymore. Like, they become a ghost. It's like they never existed. You don't see them on the social media environment, and that happens. Sometimes there's, if I may use the word, there's some haters out there that just, I don't know, live to say nasty things. And I remember when Tammy and I had a Facebook ad going on, and this guy doesn't know us from Adam, and for some reason, he hated the world. And I said, wow, this guy's way too negative. I don't want this in my environment. I ghost him, right? So these are things that happens, and it may also happen to you. And don't worry about this. Even some millionaires networker were talking about the fact that sometimes they got ghosts. And so this is the social environment that we are in today. And that's why I'm saying, if someone takes the time to respond back to you, at least they cared enough to respond, even though it didn't come across very nice. At least they didn't ignore you, which I think means a lot. So that's a really, really good point, Scott. This is good.
And also, if you don't mind, I add a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's very hard to not take some things personally,
Mm.
but I see it as it's a very emotional game, and you need to build your emotional toughness towards not taking things personally, and realize that a lot of the time it's things that the other person is dealing with, and you're helping them to giving them a listening ear. And I find while you're having a conversation, when if you can ask the right questions, it'll usually lead in a good direction, because
This is
it's them. It has to be them making the decision. You're in a position where you're educating, and you're bringing them to a place of understanding, and ultimately it's up to them to make the decision. So it's not you talking them into something. It's about you asking the right questions and having that cycled around through their scroll cage, and then deciding on for themselves, how they're going to move forward. So
this is a very, very good point, Scott, because it brings up the topic of, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Is if you really listen to the person and not having too much of an agenda, handling the question, but listen to what they're telling you, they're going to give you all the clues and everything you need to actually go forward with dealing with whatever concern or objections that they may have. And I totally agree with you, Scott, 100%. Thank you for sharing, Scott. That was also very valuable.
Maybe Chris, one thing, because often people say, well, what's the right questions?
Mm.
So maybe Scott, maybe, the leaders who are doing this on a regular basis, what are questions that you ask people, Scott? So start writing this down, you guys.
Well, I usually, a lot of time I'll share my story, and I'll like, before I ask some of these questions. Well, some of the questions I ask beginning into that, is if I just drop a little tidbit, like Steve Scott used to say, salt. Drop sprinkle a little bit of salt on the trail, right? And the deer come out and lick the salt.
Mhm.
So you put a little bit of salt out. So life is much different for me than it used to be, because I got in a big accident years ago, and I was disabled, and all kinds of medications and chronic pain and other issues of depression and stuff like that. And I'm doing much better now, and been able to get off my medications and stuff like that, and I've helped many other people do the same. And maybe talking about drop a little tidbit about the business I'm involved in, or something like that, depending on the conversation that I'm having with people, and where I see their thoughts at. I may ask a question that, if you could experience like something like that, or if you knew somebody that could benefit from something like that, is that something you'd like to look at some information on, or having a conversation about? So I'll ask them if they're open to having a conversation about it, or maybe, do you know somebody in that kind of situation, or is this something that you'd like to have a look at for yourself? Or, do you have anyone that you know of that would like to know more about something like that? Or I say, an amazing breakthrough that's I'm sharing with people, and it's making such a difference for them. And, would you like to talk about that?
Yep, that's good.
Simple.
Throwing
Very
the
good.
bait. He's throwing the bait out through his story, which
Yeah.
is really great.
Yeah. And even somebody else's, if I know if they can relate to, like, if I'm finding out a little bit about them, and I could share somebody else's story that relates directly to them, or somebody that they know, then I may share that story, and maybe lead to another one.
Yeah.
And then that kind of warms them up a little more. And then I'll ask them, would you like to find out more about this?
That's dead on. I mean, this is absolutely correct, Scott, and this is really, really good feedback. I'd love to get someone else to maybe share their thoughts and ideas on handling objections.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It just takes the pressure out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your advice. Oh, Alice.
If
Alice.
no, oh, Alice has, okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Alice, please.
When we are given the objection, it's a pyramid scheme. The way of handling it that I have used over the years, I've been in the financial industry a lot, many years. Pyramid. Well, if you are a 9 to 5 employee, you start at the bottom of the pyramid, and there you are, and you work hard. And this is where, at the peak of the pyramid, is the CEO. He ain't gonna give you his job. I'm gonna tell you, you'll have to work years and years and never reach the top, because that's where the money is. Versus when you look at network marketing, the pyramid is upside down. You start right at the peak, at the bottom, but you have the opportunity to create many CEOs at the base of that pyramid, because it's upside down. And if the original pyramid that people go to work for 40 years, 35, 40 years, if it works so well, if you look at the stats in North America, 1% of the population are multimillionaires. 5% are okay for retirement at age 65, but they're okay, decent lifestyle. Well, when you look at the rest of the population, 94% are going in retirement where they have to cut back and don't have the means to have a decent retirement. If that pyramid works so well, how come those stats are realistic?
That's
Brilliant. Brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant, because
Of the pyramid, which pyramid do you want to belong to?
exactly.
That's
I love that.
I really love this, because
great.
this is the reality, and everybody knows this. Everybody knows that the environment, the work environment, is hostile, to say the least, especially on retirement age. So this is a really good point. I'm glad that this is recorded, because folks can really learn from that too. So that was wonderful feedback.
One time, and it was with a professor from the university, and he was debating this. When I showed him the upside down pyramid and going to work and doing the same amount of work, the same effort at the other way of doing business, he said, I can't argue with you anymore. You've proven it.
I mean, and folks, for those of you that don't know Alice is a self-made millionaire and investor, and she's been in the investing business and managing money for decades. And obviously it's an honor to have her with us here, and she sees the value of this industry. And so we certainly appreciate the wonderful feedback. That was liquid gold. So thank you for sharing. Before we end the call,
Chris?
I'd love to have one more person.
Put a question out there. How do
There was a question that just came up from Emmanuel, and I did read it. Emmanuel just put in, how do you handle the objection? I didn't see the end of it. Let me see.
You know what, Manuel? I know you rose your hand there a moment ago, and then we'll go to Lucy. Emmanuel, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. There is this objection from a friend whom we had a third party call with you and Tammy, the young man in the States. After that, he said he was going to talk with his wife or the partner. And since then, he hasn't gotten back to me. On my own, I initiated another talk with him. And when we talk, though this time in writing, he never did respond it. And I just said, let me give him some time. Let me give him some breathing space. How do you handle that?
Okay, that's an easy one. But Tammy, I've been doing a lot of the talking. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, Emmanuel, that happens. Yeah, often when they can't make a decision without communicating with their spouse, the goal is to set up another presentation so that they can invite their spouse into the Zoom session so you can build that relationship. And otherwise, if you leave it hanging for them to talk to their spouse, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not even in. So right away, their spouse is saying, "Oh, no, you're not going to do any of that stuff. You know, we need to keep our money. You know, so you're going to get that." So when I'm dealing with a situation like that, I say, "Great, let's get another Zoom session set up. Let's book a Zoom right away, and then for them to bring their wife in."
And this is the answer to your question, Emmanuel. And it says, I completely understand. Obviously, your partner also have a say on where the money goes. And we're talking about not a significant investment, but an investment that is significant enough that you need to share this with your significant other. And let's do another session where we can invite your partner, wife or husband, depending on the situation, or whatever it is. And let's have a chat. Let's discuss and let us help you. And I would even say to them, "Oh, no. Sometimes they come back to me and they say, 'Oh, you know what? I can handle it.' Sorry, my cables are, I can handle it. I'll get back to you." It says, "This is cool." And I respect that because I know this happens. And he says, "Well, do you think that you're in a position to be able to repeat what I shared with you?" So no, of course not. So sometimes you have to be a little bit upfront. And because honestly, the reality is sometimes they're trying to brush you off. And if that's the case, just tell me, right? But I don't ask it that way. The way I go about it is, like I said, let's get together. And then the last point is this: if he insists on doing it himself or herself, and I said, do you think you could repeat? And so that way, the reality, you kind of put him in a corner in a polite way. And often you will get the Zoom session going, and very often we did. So that's the answer to the question. So Lucy, I know you raised your hand. You want to go ahead and share?
Yes, I will try to do it shortly because it's past 9, but we need to remember that objections are just normal. People want to get some question answer, but it might take 3 to 7
Exposures.
contact before they join. So during those contacts, we create relationship. But we must, when we join somebody, we must not send the person in the lion cage without being prepared to face the objection. And if I take the time, I remember once I was doing a presentation in Ivory Coast, and a guy, we were talking, and there was some question in the crowd, and one said to me, "I don't have time." I said, "Oh, you might be so busy. What are you doing for living?" So he was talking, and he was about 25 years old, 28 maybe. And so I took an older lady in the crowd, and I said, "Do you have a girlfriend?" He said, "No." So let's see that this lady here, it's sure that it was just for fun. You find her so lovely. You would really like to go out with her. Would you find out some time to call her, to invite her? And he laughed and he said, "I understand." So I said, "If it is important for you, you will find the time." And this, we need to make the people realize that it is their responsibility. It is, they take care, they take charge of their life, and it is a decision to take. And if they take the decision to do it, they will find the time and they will find the money. That
Well
was
done.
my message.
Well
I
done.
remember when I was new in network marketing, Chris, gosh, you must remember these days, even Murray Paul and those who were back in the days with us. We were trained to share our keys to our vehicle. And you know, when somebody's sitting there across the table from you, you say, well, I don't have the money. And then I moved my keys over to them. It was a BMW convertible. And I said, if I gave you these keys to this car, would you take it? Well, yeah, of course.
Would you find the money?
Would you find the money? Yeah. No. Is that what I said? Oh my God, I'm so tired now. We've been working hard all day. Yeah. So I said, yeah, if I gave you the keys, would you find the money to have this car for, I think at the time the cost to sign up was $500. I forget. But I threw the amount for the biggest package. And the person said, well, yeah, of course. And I said, go there to get this money because this opportunity is worth so much more than the cost of getting started with this business. And that was a real...
Did you give him the car?
No, yeah.
So as a conclusion, and sorry, Tammy, I know you're
Go ahead, Chris.
you're absolutely correct, because I know we're getting past the hour, but just as a summary, so people understand, is that what we're simply putting the value into their hands. When you take your BMW, which has a certain value monetary, and you say, hey, I'm giving you the key and I'm selling it to you for $5,000, would you find the money? Knowing that she could turn around and sell that car for easily 50 grand because it's a 80 or whatever, $70,000 car, right? Of course, she's going to find the 5 grand. So the point here is, or he is that it's, and the thing is that, and I think one of the reasons why I've been able to sign up over the years, some, serious people in this business, is because of the ability to make them see the value of what they're looking at. And that's the key. And that's why this analogy with the car is a big one, because you are literally telling them the value of what it is that they're turning around for nickel and dimes, considering they can make 10 times that, right? So that's the analogy.
If you don't have the car, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have the car. Think of the trip that's coming up for the Diamond Associates. If you had an opportunity to get a free trip, you could use that as an analogy, for this, or get a trip for this amount. Would you come up with the money to get a 5-star luxury trip for this? And most people will say, yeah, I would try and find the money. And
folks, what we're sharing here is really very important. See, if you're always leading with the product, and it's for sure, you will build a customer base and you will find people that are going to see, the value because of what the product is. But if you share the opportunity for what it's worth, property worth millions of dollars, traveling all over the world, worth tens of thousands of dollars a month. I mean, we could go on trips that are costing thousands of dollars provided. And this is the thing. If people can see that, it's hard to walk away. But if we sell it small, you always will get small. And that's the difference between building it big and building it small. And I can almost hear Eric worries, and that's how he speaks, right? And so it's just something that also, it's important to be realistic, where how do you approach your business, right? Are you approaching it with a small thing, or are you approaching it as an empire? And this comes with also time. It comes with confidence and practice. I'm not saying because you're listening to us, you're going to overnight tomorrow and be able to make the sell like this, but be conscious that if you sell it big, the chances are that the person may capture even a glimpse of a segment of that might be more than enough to justify the cost of entry. And that's the message here.
I think,
Right,
Chris, a lot of time people don't sell it big, because I remember when I was new, and I do calls with all of you, so we know the conversations. If you're not making money, it's that fear of them asking you, how much money are you making, by the way? You ever get that?
Mhm.
Yeah, of course. So I remember feeling like, oh my God, I wasn't making money at that time. And I say, well, you know what? It doesn't really matter how much money I make. I'd like to introduce you to one of my business partners. He's my mentor and we work directly together. I want to introduce him to you because he's doing extremely well. And I'm fairly new in this. And I would be straight up. And I would introduce them to the leader, and then they go from there and they sell the bigger picture. Because at that time, I didn't have the confidence to sell the bigger picture. So
Correct.
leverage, third party validation, bring somebody in, because guaranteed if that person gets started, they've already got somewhat of a relationship with the person who's doing well. So you'll be able to plug them in. And obviously you want to make sure you're joining all these calls and everything too. So you're learning at the same time. So
Wonderful. So let's end on this note, Tammy. So folks, listen, it was wonderful. There was a really great call. Folks, all your participation has been wonderful. And this is why it's not because we want to put you on the spot. We know you've been living your life. You've been dealing with challenges, and those challenges of yours bring experience and knowledge and feedback for others to learn from. So that's the reason why we want you to contribute, and you've done that. So listen, have yourself a wonderful evening. The call is recorded. You can find it on the Match Global Diamond or the Active Team Group page, or you can go on the Active Team training. When you go to Active Team Group, you guys know. So all the information is on the website, and this file will be uploaded. Okay, so everybody have yourself a wonderful evening. And again, thank you for your participation. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Superstar.